Let's get right into this, everyone. So my week 3 college football top 25 rankings. And this is my rankings, my individual rankings. So if you complain about it, boo-hoo. All right? I don't give a crap if you complain about it because it's not your rankings. It's my rankings, all right? Okay, so my number 1 team is Ohio State, the Ohio State. They're my number 1 team. They have that good win over Texas. My number 2 team is Miami. They have that great win against Notre Dame, and they looked better yesterday than my number 3 team, LSU. LSU's win at Clemson now doesn't look as good because Clemson struggled yesterday against Troy. They were down 16-0 and barely escaped by 11 points. Like, a top 15 team in the country shouldn't struggle with Troy at home. So that win doesn't look as good for LSU. Plus, they struggled yesterday against Louisiana Tech at home, only scoring 23 points and only winning by 2 possessions, 23-7. So they go down a spot from last week, LSU, and Miami goes up a spot because they looked better yesterday. Number 4, I have Oregon. They killed Oklahoma State 69-3. So they win by 66 points. They haven't struggled at all the first 2 weeks, beating a top 5 FCS team in Montana State, blowing them out, and then beating a Power 4 team, Oklahoma State, blowing them out. They have not struggled yet. And my number 5 team is Penn State. They go down a spot because they beat nobody yesterday. They were only up 20-0 in the fourth quarter and won 34-0. My number 6 team, they stay number 6, is Iowa State. The reason why they're staying at number 6 is because that Kansas State win now, who was in my preseason top 25, doesn't look as good because Kansas State barely wins against an FCS team last week, and then they lose at home to Army, who lost to Tarleton State last week. So that win over Kansas State doesn't look as good now, but Iowa is a pretty good win. I mean, it's a Power 4 win against the Big Ten. So they were in control most of that game. I know they won by 3, but they were in control. So number 6, I have Iowa. They're 3-0. Number 7, I still have Texas. They win by 31 against a decent Mountain West team who's supposed to be in the top half of the conference, San Jose State, winning 38-7. So they stay at number 7. They don't move up or go down. And their only loss, of course, was to the number 1 team on the road by a touchdown, so Ohio State. My number 8 team is Georgia. Georgia did not look good this weekend, winning by 22 against Austin Peay, who's in SUU's conference right now. They only won by 22, and they don't even score 30 on them. So that's embarrassing, Georgia. You go down 3 spots at number 8, and they're 2-0. Number 9, I have Notre Dame. They were off this week. Of course, their only loss was by 3 points on the road at number 2, Miami. So they stay, and they play Texas A&M this next week, who's ranked later in my rankings. My number 10 team, welcome to the club. A lot of people are going to think, why are they at number 10? But my number 10 team is South Florida. South Florida's number 10. They beat the best group of 5 team in Boise State, blowing them out by 27 last week. And Boise looked good this week against, an FCS team, Eastern Washington, but they blew them out. And then they went on the road at Florida, who was ranked this last week. They were ranked 20 for me this last week, not 13. And I see why. See, my rankings are correct. So South Florida deserves to be number 10. No other team in the country has 2 wins as good as those right now. So that's why South Florida's number 10. They don't have any wins against a cupcake team yet. And if South Florida wins this week at Miami, I'm putting them at number 2 in the country. I am. Boo-hoo. Number 11, I have Florida State. They still have that good win over Alabama, dominating them. They're my number 11 team, and they score 77 points. If you're going to beat an FCS team, that's the way to do it, is scoring 77 points. So, and Alabama looked good yesterday, too, which makes Florida State look better. So I have them at number 11. The reason why I have South Florida ahead of Florida State is because South Florida doesn't have a win against an FCS opponent, and Florida State does. So there you go. South Florida would have scored 77 against that FCS opponent yesterday. But number 12, I have Illinois. They have a good win at Duke. I mean, not a great win, but a decent win again on the road at a Power 4 team. So I have them at number 12. 13, I still have Tennessee having another blowout 70-burger win. 14, I have Oklahoma, who was just outside of my top 25 last week. They're at 14 after that double-digit win, 11-point win over Michigan. 15, I have BYU after winning by 24, covering the spread. They go down 5 spots, though, because their offense didn't look great against a not-so-good Power 4 Stanford team, only scoring 27 points. But their defense looks legit, so I still have BYU at 15. They're 2-0. 2 blowout wins. 16, I have South Carolina. They kind of struggled a little bit yesterday in the first quarter against, who was it, South Carolina State, whoever, an FCS team at home. I mean, they won by 28, 38-10, but South Carolina 16. 17, I believe I have Auburn. They're 2-0 with another dominant win yesterday, but that win against on the road at Baylor last week looks better since Baylor beat SMU. So I have Auburn at 17. 18, I have Texas Tech, another dominant 60-burger performance, winning by over almost 50. So they go down a spot at 18 from 17 last week because they haven't beaten anyone yet. 19, I have Texas A&M. They beat Utah State by 22, and Utah State's not an FCS team, so that's a little bit better than beating an FCS team. So I'll find out a lot about Texas A&M this upcoming weekend when they play at 9 Notre Dame. So we'll see about them this week, but I have them at 19 for now. 20, I have Utah. Utah beat a Cal Poly yesterday, who's a crappy FCS team, but they destroyed them. That's the way you're supposed to beat an FCS team. And they have that blowout win at UCLA, a Power 4 team last week. But UCLA doesn't look that good. So I have Utah at 20 because they look solid at the moment. 21, I believe I have Clemson. So Clemson was in my preseason top 7. So Clemson was my preseason number 7 team. And then after they lose to LSU, they go down to 14. And then after they struggle at home to Troy, they go down from 14 to 21. Clemson is not a top 20 team right now at the moment. And so I have them at 21 right now. And then at 22, I have Ole Miss. I have at 22. They struggled yesterday at Kentucky. But hey, they lost to Kentucky at home last year. So I won't give them too much overratedness yet with Ole Miss. That's on the road at a Power 4 team in Kentucky, so they stay at 20. They're at 22. 23, I have Alabama. They go up 1 spot from 24 last week after destroying Louisiana Monroe, I think. I think they scored a 70-burger. So, and that loss to Florida State looks better now for Alabama. So they're at 23. At 24, I have Michigan. I have at 24. After losing on the road at 14 Oklahoma by 11. The defense looked okay, but the offense didn't look that great. So Michigan, I still barely have them ranked since that wasn't a horrible loss to Oklahoma. Oklahoma looks not too bad right now. So I have Michigan at 24. And then at 25, welcome to the top 25, Georgia Tech. So Georgia Tech last week was on my receiving votes. Now they're ranked. They dominate, I think, an FCS team this week. So welcome to the top 25, Georgia Tech. They play Clemson soon. And now on my other receiving votes, at 26, I have Louisville. They struggled against James Madison, but James Madison's one of the better group of 5 teams. They beat them by 2 touchdowns. And then at 27, I have TCU. I have at 27. They had a bye this week after that dominant performance at North Carolina. And North Carolina, I believe, won this week pretty convincingly. I think at Charlotte. So that win looks a little bit better for TCU. So they're at 27. And at 28, I have Florida. So they go down from 20 to 28. They go down 8 spots. They barely lose at home to number 10, South Florida now, who's in my top 10. So that's the reason why they're not going down a whole lot, because they barely lost at home to a top 10 team. So I have them at 28. And at 29, I have Arizona State. I have at 29. They lose on the road at a Power 4 school in the SEC in Mississippi State. They were down 17-0, come all the way back, take the lead, but gave them a chance to win the game at the end, and they give up a 40-yard Hail Mary, so they lose 24-20. So Arizona State goes from ranked 16 last week for me to 29, so they go down 13 spots. And then at number 30 to finish my receiving votes, I have Indiana. Indiana's the last team I have. 30, they were in my preseason top 25. They didn't look that great their first game, but yesterday they looked a little bit better. I mean, against bad competition, but still, we'll see how Indiana is. They're 2-0 and at number 30 in my receiving votes. So that's my week 3 top 25 for this upcoming week. There we go.